All right. So yeah, so she's learned a lot and she's taught me so much. And so we'll kind of let her, Susie, if you want to kind of go over all the things. It's
Sure.
going to be a lot of information. Just kind of take notes. We'll record this and then she's available afterwards for any if you guys want to do a one-on-one or a mentorship or anything like that where she can kind of walk you through. But yeah, take it away, Susie. Thank you.
Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Suzanne Eldridge Gore. I'm with eXp Realty, of course, now. I've been doing real estate since 2008. I accidentally came upon land development when I found this field for a client of mine, and he wanted something for his horses. And it ended up being 62 lots that were owned by different people, but the developer still owned 39 of the lots. And so it just came about. There was no road there. It just looked like a field. And so I met the snow house moving people, and they do houses that are like old houses or museums or school buildings. They move houses, like not trailer houses. And they were looking for lots to put their houses on. And so that's how it all started. And then when I ran out of lots, I needed more. And so looking at 5 acres, I was like, can I make that 5 lots? And then I started learning and sometimes making mistakes. Like you can't, like the power company told me the power poles divide every lot. So I would put the house there and then have the surveyor come out and do a survey. So I didn't have to have 2 surveys. But then I found out one side of the road had lots 15 feet moved over from the power pole. They were wider than the first side of the street that I'd started on. So I ended up having to give somebody an extra lot because I'd put their house like 8 foot onto the next lot, thinking I was safe. So I really learned a lot. And that's why I think it's so good to have a mentor or work with somebody who's knowledgeable and really have done their homework. And that's what I really like about EXP is everybody helps everybody. I mean, you really do help each other. I mean, it's so different than anywhere else I've ever been to. So I'm happy to help people. We're going to do this class, and then you can all have my phone number or email. And if you have any questions or need help with something later, you can always reach out to me. I help everybody, no matter who you're with. So what I wanted to start with is I'm going to share my screen and I'm just going to go over some things and y'all take some notes and just let me know if you have any questions. So I will share my screen right quick. Can everybody see this land glide? Can you see it, Amanda?
Yes.
Okay. Okay. If you've ever worked with me before, I really love land glide. And this is because you can find a lot of you can find a lot of information and lot lines. And we're going to use this for an example. I've been doing 211 Windy Hill. So you can put in an address and it'll take you right to the address, which is like so cool, because if you have a subdivision that you need to dig on or learn more about, you can come here, and I'm going to click on this one, put in the address. It'll tell you who owns it. But sometimes you have to kind of really look at it and see if they have more than one lot. Like, see, the closer you get, it'll zoom in and it'll show the lot line of this property, right? And then you touch the other ones and you see, do they still own those? Because this owner used to own this property too, but I sold it. So at one time, all of this was a big field, and then slowly people have been subdividing it. So I'm working on this one currently right now. This was already platted previously, so it had its own address. When you're on a road, and every county is different, let me tell you that every county is different. This one is in Parker County. So this side road is 35 miles an hour for the speed limit. And you can get a list from TxDOT if you do highway frontage, but they have a distance between driveways and from the edge of a bridge and from the edge of a stop sign, so you always kind of think of everything when you're doing a subdivision, and check and see how you can do your driveways, because on Windy Hill, it used to be, they just passed this rule in Parker County because it didn't matter if I did lots that were 60 feet wide. These were 62 and 70 feet wide lots when I started. I'll show you my original plat. So this is my original plat. Right here in the middle of this property that I was just showing you is a barndominium. And the owner wanted to keep his barndominium, but he wanted to sell everything else. So I took out 5 acres here, and his name's Philip Morris. So we're going to name this one Morris Estates. If they don't have a name, I want to name it, like, right? If I go, do you have a name for your subdivision yet? And they say no. And I'll say, okay, well, if you don't pick a name, I would like to name it. And I'll name it like after one of my grandkids or my niece or my mom or, something like that. So this is on Highway 199. So I thought that is great road frontage, right? It could be commercial, because if it's not platted yet, there's not restrictions. Like, it's not really zoned as a residential or a commercial, or it doesn't have deed restrictions per the plat, unless somebody restricted it way back in the day before it was this 20 acres. So I'm thinking to myself, being on the highway, and highway brings so much more money, I'm going to do this first 2 acres, but I'm not going to sell lots 2 and 3 until I sell lot 1, because what if this commercial person wants 4 acres, right? I could get more money and just sell them this one whole piece. But I had sold my friend Danny this one piece over here that I showed y'all that was already gone. And he's got a water well on his land that he's sharing with this lady. But Danny says, hey, when you're doing your lot, could you go ahead and ... me this line over here and run me a water line easement? So no matter who owns the property in the future, they can't take water away from Danny, because the co-op water is on the road, but he doesn't have it here. He's on a well. So if it's not already platted and it's not an easement, nobody can make these owners give him water, but they have to give it to him if I give it to him now. You see what I mean? So it's something you kind of think about in advance. You may keep this one big piece, but later you might want to divide this one big piece. So don't just count on the water line right here. Go ahead and bring it all the way down
Hey, Mom,
as far as you want.
we're still on the land glide page. Are you on the Park
Oh,
County Clerk one?
yeah. Let me see. I'm so sorry. Thank you for telling me.
Oh, you're fine. You might have to, I don't know how to switch it, but if you can't switch it, you might have to do stop view and then reshare your view.
Okay. I'm so sorry.
Oh, you're fine.
Thank you for telling me. Can y'all see it now?
Reshare. Just share screen and click on the other one you were on.
Thank you. Okay, here we go. I'm so sorry, y'all. Can y'all see that now?
That's perfect.
Okay, so it's the same big piece of land that we were looking at a while ago, only I used land glide. And I said, because I want to see how long I had, right? Because we just want 1 acre. We've got to be so careful. But in doing this, this lot was only 62 feet wide. These were 70, but it's still doable. I have co-op water right across the road, is a big water well. I reached out to the water company and I said, can you service 13 lots for me? And they said, yes, we have enough room for your 13 lots. And I said, okay, I want to reserve them. What do I need to do? And they said, nothing, just let us know when your plat's approved. I said, can you give me a letter? Because what you're going to need is you're going to need a letter from the electric company, the water company, the post office, and the school every time you do a plat. So and 911 addressing will give you your addresses after your plat's approved. They're not going to give you 13 addresses, until your plat's approved and you have the lots. But before they'll approve the plat, they want a letter from the electric company that says that they will give you electric, and a letter from the post office that says they serve this area, and a letter from the school district that says this is going to be in their school district. It's very easy. Most everybody got me their letter the day after I requested it. So it was really easy to get. So the water well's down here. So the water company was going to charge me $50,000 to run the water line to the front of this road. And then I told him, okay, well, we're doing 13 lots and every water tap costs $1,200 on this one, and which is really cheap. Most water taps cost, $2,000 to $3,500 is normal. So this one's only $1,200 a water tap. So after I talked to him, and here he's going to have customers on his water line service, they're not charging me the $50,000 at all. Every lot only is going to be charged $1,200 per lot for water. Also, while I'm at the utility point, every utility company is different. Tri-County is in this area, Tri-County Electric. If this whole 20 acres was to get electricity, and I said I wanted electricity for all this 20 acres, it would cost me about, well, I'm doing a 5-acre one right now, and the bid for electricity is $25,000. And that's just for the electric company to come out and put in their big poles. That's not running it to the houses or anything like that. That's just bringing it to your lot. Is $25,000 for 5 acres. So this could be, $80,000, right? But almost every utility company has a new construction credit, and they don't normally tell you, they're not going to volunteer that information that there's a credit to you, because they lose a lot of money. You almost have to know it or ask it. And after I had done about 3 subdivisions, one of the engineers told me that, and I'm so thankful. And now I tell everybody, to help them. So you go in and you do a plat, and after you get your plat approved, then you go apply for your electric, right? You might come in and apply for one temporary pole if you want to, but don't do the electric for the whole the subdivision, because like lot 13 or the whole lot, either one, would get a credit for $7,200. Well, I already know that with Tri-County Electric, $7,200 buys me a 150-foot line going to my house overhead. So you see a house, and they've got their power pole on the side of their house, and electric's coming to it overhead. That's 400 feet. I apologize. 400-foot overhead, or 150-foot underground. That's going to take up all of my $7,200. So this lot is, 600 and something feet. So you could put your house way back here, and they would bring you electric to 400-foot overhead. But I don't like a lot of lines if I can keep from it, but I'm not opposed to overhead. But if you put your house close to the front, they'll run underground power and hook right up to your house for free with your $7,200 credit. So since I subdivided this and 911 addressing gave each one of these a lot, then I apply for my electric and I request the new construction credit. And so the $80,000 or $100,000 is free. I get all that money for free. So I just made at least $80,000 just from having the knowledge of how to do it. Because your first plan is to go in there and just put the electric in all the lots, so you don't even think about doing stuff like that. Also, the state of Texas requires, this is regarding kind of outside the city limits. If you're outside the city limits and you have to have a septic system, and some city limits still require septic systems, like there's some cities that don't have sewer. The state requires a 1 acre for a water well and a lot if you don't have co-op water. But most counties in the state require two acres. So the county trumps the state, right? The state sets a minimum, the county sets your rule for that county. So for this lot, I could, by the state law, I could have a water well here, and the well has to be 100 feet away from the septic on a residential lot. If there's a commercial well, you have to be 150 feet away from the well to have your septic. But thankfully I have water here, so I could do septic on all my lots, because Parker County requires 1 acre for septic alone. So if I had to have a water well, I would have to have 2 acres for each house. Except these past few years, I learned that you can have up to 4 homes on 1 water well before it becomes a community system. That will pass FHA, VA, USDA. That is a requirement. You just can't have more than 4 houses. So a man called me yesterday. He was going to buy one of my lots because he had a house and he had 2 acres, but the state was taking in 30 foot for a road easement, which made him have less than 2 acres. This is in Wise County. And so he says, so I can't use this 2 acres that I'm buying because I don't have enough room for my water well and my septic. And then after talking to him, I figured out he actually had 4 acres because somebody else was buying 2 acres and he was buying 2 acres, but they both felt like they couldn't do the houses there because they didn't have 2 acres each after the easement. And I said, well, I'll tell you what you can do. You can put in, you have 4 acres. So you take 1 acre and you put your water well on it. And then you share that water well to 3 lots. Now you can do 3 houses on your 4 acres when you thought you could only do 1. And he was pretty adamant about he knew what he was talking about. And I'm not a lawyer and I don't know everything and I do make mistakes. But I know that I've done 4 water wells and I have 2 to 4 houses on each water well myself. And so I know that it's doable. You can have, like I said, 1 to 4 houses per well, but each house has to have its own lot. Now, some places are grandfathered, like, let me see if I can, well, some lots are little, like I've got lots that are 6,000 square feet, and they were platted before, like it was like 2009 or something like that. Back then, there wasn't a 1 acre minimum. So they're grandfathered. If you go in and you try to make your lot bigger and you join the 2 6,000 square foot lots and you have a 12,000 square foot lot, you've lost your grandfather. It doesn't make it better for you. It's better just to keep them separate lots because you can still put your septic. It's just a different kind of system, right? So this is like a conventional big drainage in the ground. But when you do a small lot, you have like a 1,800 square foot field with several purple water hoses. They're like soaker hoses that are in your field in the ground. And so if you ever get to that, that's like a whole nother thing, but I can totally teach you about the different types of septic systems depending on the size of your lot or your topography. Do you have a lot of clay or do you have a lot of sand? Those things are really important. Are you close to a creek? So this is a creek right here. When I went to my county meeting, the county guy says, oh, well, you can't have your septic close to the creek because your lot's only, it's not very far away and you've got to be 50 feet from running water. However, when I went onto the FEMA map, so you got to do your own homework. You can't just take what they tell you, or I would have been like, oh, I lost that lot. I have to make this one bigger or what have you. But if you go to the FEMA map and this is just a washout, even though it goes for miles and miles and miles, it's not a registered creek. So it doesn't count against me. So they can't use that, you see. So one time I have another subdivision I'm working on, and the city of Azle told me it was in their ETJ. So I had to follow all of the city rules, which is terrible for me. I think it's so much more difficult to work with the city because they require so much more. And they don't offer city sewer, right? So, I mean, I don't get any benefits of a city, but I have to follow a lot of their rules being in their ETJ, which is like their extraterritorial jurisdiction, area. So I went on the city map because every city has a boundary map and a county boundary map. Half of the road, it ended up the road that my lots were on, the right side of the road was in the city ETJ. But the left side of the road where my subdivision was not in the ETJ. It was right on the line in the middle of the road. Is that not the craziest thing? So respectfully, I emailed the city back and I said, I think we're both right. So I didn't say, oh, you're wrong. I knew I was right. How you talk to the people at the city really determines how far you get because you want them to like you. You're going to be working with the same people over and over again. So I said, I think we're both right. This side of the road is in the ETJ and my side isn't. I zoomed in on the map. Please let me know if I'm incorrect. And she was like, oh, I stand corrected. You are right, and so that's really how you do that. So what I was talking about, the water line, we're going to come all the way down the road. And then The surveyor originally put 50 feet for my road width. The county requires 60 feet. I went back out and I measured the road. And so the surveyor is changing that to 60 foot. The county didn't like my skinny lots because they just passed a rule, just passed it in January, that you have to have 250 feet between the driveways on the county roads now. And I'm like, that's a big deal, because now you can't have thin lots, you know? So if you don't have a lot of road frontage, you're going to have to put in a road. Well, to put in a road, a private road is a 60-foot piece of your land, 60 feet. But a dedicated road easement is only 30 feet. So I took away lot 5, which was 62 feet. And here's what I did. I mean, I might have to unshare and share again, so bear with me, but I want to show you how I got around them telling me that it wasn't going to work. Let's see. And it's a rough draft, so you have to bear with my rough draft. Here I come. Thank you for your patience.
I know I was mind blown when you were teaching me about the electricity grant, and something that was important that she said about getting all the addresses before you apply. If you just apply right when you get the dirt, which I would do because I'd be so excited about getting the grant, you get 7,200 for that whole piece of land. But if you take the time and split it up into, let's say 10 different lots and then apply, then you get 10 grants instead of one. So
That's right.
these tiny little tricks are so important.
Yes. Okay, so this is messy looking because they, you know, the county came back and said you've got to have, they were pretty hard on me on this one. And so they said you have to have 250-foot road. And I was like, between each driveway. And I was like, how am I going to do that? I'm going to lose lots. So I took this lot and I took it out. And what I did, and I hope you can see this, is I made lot 1, instead of being 70 foot wide, well, I call it lot 1. Instead of being 70 foot wide, it's now 140 foot wide, right? And I made, instead of being 672 feet long, it's only, you know, 336 feet long. And I had to make it lot 1 and 2 like this. So I took my 62 feet I had right here from lot 5. I did lose lot 5, but I mean, you have to play with it to make it work, right? So this here, I took 30 foot from lot 5, and I'm making a road, a dedicated road easement, which will look nice. It'll be road base. You know, it's not a concrete road, but you could do concrete. And then I come in here, and these little stick out things are just me referencing that I need 75-foot turnaround for the fire truck. You have to have they require 75 foot for a turnaround in any subdivision for the fire truck. So the lots 1 and 3 still won't lose any acreage because I gave the 30 foot from up here, and lots 2 and 4 will have a little bit more than an acre because they have that 30 foot in the middle. So they have their 140 foot plus 15 foot of the road here and 15 foot of the road here, but the road's not really here. It stops here. I'm just saying they absorb the extra land that I had to give up. So now I come down here, I'll bring a cul-de-sac. I had to double check the bottom of the land to make sure there was no flood zone here, because it's kind of creaky down here. And so that's why I wanted all the houses to go across the front, and they would just have long backyards with beautiful views. So I had to change that and make the cul-de-sac and just make them twice as wide all the way down. And so I'm going to keep, I'll probably keep 5, 6, 7, and 8 myself, because 7 and 8 have all these beautiful trees. And so I'll have this road to share with these 4 lots, and I'll do houses on these. And then I have buyers lined up for at least 2 of my lots, and possibly all 4 already. And I don't even have my plat approved. So before you're really in the money, you know, it cost me $4,000 to have the surveyor do this plat. He didn't make me pay it up front, but sometimes they do make you pay it up front. So I'm not out any more money. I don't own the land yet. Mr. Morse still owns the land. So here's what I'm doing. All right. Lot 4 has a nice barnuminium with 5 acres. Mr. Morris now says, if you can get me $850,000 for all my property, I'll sell the whole thing. Well, that didn't work good for me because I need him to owner finance me these lots. And as I sell them, he gets we call it a takedown, but he signs a partial release of liens. So say he's got a lien on this lot and he's charging me $50,000 and I'm selling it for $65,000, or I'm selling it for $78,000 with all utilities, right? Because the septic cost about $7,000 here. The water line is $1,200. So I'm $8,200 and I've got to put in my road and my surveyor. So let's just say $10,000 because my electricity's free. So I offer the lot for, 65,000 or 78 with all utilities. So I make a little bit more money. Say it's only $3,000 more, but when you have 10 lots, you've just made an extra $30,000 by lining up the utilities, right? And you could probably do more than that. Just for this instance, this is what I did. So, but he's selling me the lots for 50,000 per lot per acre. And so my goal is to make 10,000 on each lot. And then anything over that is gravy. So if I set up the utilities, I make 13,000 a lot instead of 10,000 a lot. You see what I mean? So for me, my goal is to get 2 lots free, if you will, or, something to that effect. So then after he says, well, I'll sell my whole thing for $850,000. I go over and I talk to him, to this person who bought this lot, because he bought an office on it and it's really nice and And I said, now that you built that office on there, I think I can get you $265,000 for that if you'd like to sell it. And he said, well, I don't know where I put my office. And I said, well, I'll sell you lot 5 with the barnuminium on it for $200,000. So he's like, I would do that deal. So then I go over to Mr. Morris and I say, I'll give you $200,000 down on your $850,000 property if you'll owner finance the rest of it for, I try for a year at first, but let's just say he says, 6 months. Well, I already have a preliminary plat approval if I make the changes that the county wanted me to, right? So I came over here and made my notes. I have to have lot 5 to be used for the driveway. The drive has to be, I have to have 250 foot between each driveways. So I go out there and I measure, here's my first 250 foot. The barnuminium has 250 foot. Then that gives me room for my other 4 lots each to share a cul-de-sac and have 250 foot between each one. So I had to pivot my plan and lose 1 lot, but it still works out. I made the mistake of telling Mr. Morris how I would do all this because he would have sold me this originally for like $600,000, but I'm a very honest person. I tell him what I'm going to do and that to show I can make the money because I want them to finance it to me. I want to show them what my plan is, but so I had to make a little less money because after I shared with him how I did it, then he was like, oh, I could do that. But it really, really is a lot of work.
So her business model that I've kind of learned is she'll find a piece of dirt that is really a great development piece and she doesn't buy it outright. She'll get a creative financing deal with that owner and say, hey, you could sell these 10 acres for this much money, or we could divide it and make more money. And this is the plan. And a lot of times, sometimes they'll pay her a consulting fee for that, but other times they'll let her almost owner finance it. And like she said, do partial releases of liens to where every time she gets a buyer, he releases just that 1 out of those 10 acres or lots or whatever. And that way, let's say you're continuously doing this for investors and clients over and over, eventually you're going to want to do it for yourself. And this is a way that you can get free land and a lot more than just the commission.
Exactly. And you have to have it deeded to yourself. You have to have them owner finance it to you. If you don't, and you go in and you do this replat and you go to sell it, who's the seller at title? They are. Who gets the money when you close? You hope you do. They don't have to give it to you. That deal could be done, right? I mean, you could do a contract and all that, but to protect yourself and not have to get an attorney, you want them to owner finance it to you. If they're not going to owner finance it to you, I'm done. There's somebody else that will. I'll sell his property for the $850,000, but I'm making him $250,000 more because he's going to owner finance it to me. So it cost him 6 months maybe a year. So maybe if it does take him a year, he gets an extra $250,000 for doing it this way with me. So now my proposal is I'm going to give you $200,000 up front. I could have sold this for $350,000, but I go to Mr. Sneed and I say, you'll have $150,000 equity in this property right off the start if you give me $200,000 up front and you buy it. So when I go to close with Mr. Morris, we do a double closing at the same time. So I have my plat ready. I sell Mr. Sneed this lot 4, lot 4 with the barndominium for $200,000. So immediately he gets deeded this lot for his $200,000. Then I take the $200,000 as a down. Well, I give him $175,000 down. I keep $25,000 out to pay for my road base, so I'm not suffering to come up with money to do it, right? And then, so I have a builder who wants to buy lot 1 and 2. So I tell the builder $65,000. So there's $130,000 that goes to Mr. Morris right off the top. So now I've already paid in $350,000, well, $320,000, if you will. And I still have all of this left, $320,000. So I still lack $530,000. Well, I've been doing homework, and I know that commercial land is selling for $100,000 to $300,000 to $400,000 an acre, depending on how good the spot is. So if I even do this on a low end and I say, okay, I'm going to get $100,000 an acre, I'll do all 4 of these as one piece. And I'm already looking at gas stations. I'm thinking of any kind of business that would like road frontage on a highway. How would it benefit a company on the highway? Lots of people are buying property just to park semi trucks. That's like a thing now, like it's a big deal now. But my goal is to get 400,000 out of this property, and that is on a low end. And so, because people are paying 100,000 for a residential lot, this is on Highway 199, just outside of Springtown, and they're about to bring a loop in from Highway 20. So anyway, I know I'm taking a lot of time here. So, but my goal is 400,000 here. So that will put me at 700 and, I'm at 200 and then 120. So I'm at 320, and then so I'm at 720. So I only need $130,000 left to pay off, to give Mr. Morris $850,000. I could be off. I'm just thinking, pretty quick. So these 2 lots right here would pay off Mr. Morris. So now I have 4 lots for free. So I can put a house on these and make more money, or just sell the lots myself, right? So now I've just made $240,000, or let's say $200,000 if I'm out money for more stuff, but it's at least $200,000. And it only took me maybe a week of full-time work, right? It's spread out. So a few hours one day, you have a meeting with the county, a few hours another day, but he still got, Mr. Morris wins because he gets $250,000 more than he would have selling it as a whole. Mr. Sneed, who gave me the money down, wins because he has $150,000 in equity now because he got such a good deal. And me thinking about how I can make all of us a winner helped me win $200,000 by putting it together, just pulling the deal together. And it happens all the time. So when you get in with people and you start making them money like that, Mr. Sneed's going, hey, find me another property. Let's go ahead and divide this up and make some more money on it. And let's do this again and again and again. And so do you have any questions right here, or should I wait?
I have 2 topics I want to make sure you go over on this, and then we'll open it up for questions. One is, you said, let's say you end up with those last 4 lots. Could you use one septic system and one set of, your expenses, and then do Airbnb or rentals, or what
Okay. It's a great question. Okay. So right now there are no restrictions. I make the restrictions. So your developer says you got to have a 2,500 square foot house, blah, blah, blah. I'm focusing on tiny homes. People are doing tiny homes now, smaller homes, because it costs less on taxes. They're downsizing. everybody's just, even builders are going to smaller homes now. But to your point, it's not restricted. You can do a commercial septic system is what they call it. Like at my property where I live, I have a commercial septic system. I have 3 homes on it, right? And it costs $11,000 instead of $7,000 for my commercial system. So it really wasn't a lot more expensive to do a commercial system. So you could do one water well and you can share it to your 4 tiny homes, and one commercial septic system, and you can share those to your 4 tiny homes. And then you could rent out your 4 homes. So like this whole section here, well, you'd have to have 2 acres to have the, there's different ways you could do that. So you could have the one well that shares to the 4 homes, but you can't have more than 4 connections to that well, or it becomes a community well. However, you could talk to the water company. You could pay all the water bills. If you pay all the water bills, your water company is going to say, we only want you to have 1 residential connection. In most cases, and I think it's a rule, but you'd have to follow up on that. If you have 1 roof contiguous to all 4 houses, and it could be like a porticature, walkway, something that connects all 4 houses, it's only 1 property. So on most counties that will fly, as it's only 1 property. So you could have 4 houses. You could use the same water connection from the city and share a commercial septic system, because it's really one. If you're gonna Airbnb it, it's, you know, nobody's really living there full time anyway. But if you have a roof that connects them all, it could be considered 1 property. You know, so I would probably lay it out long ways, and then have my water line coming across the back, and then do the septic on the other side or something, and do a commercial septic system.
Love it. Okay, and last question, then we'll turn off the screen share and everybody can ask questions. Let's say we're not Susie and we don't understand, you know, how to find a guy who has 200 grand and we can't put the deal together, but we have this creative mind and you could be our mentor. How do you pair up a potential builder or investor and a landowner? How are you finding? Do you find someone who's like, hey, I've got $1 million and I want to make money on land, and then you go find the dirt, or how does that process usually work?
Well, so a lot of times people have to start small, and I'll show you this real fast. I'm gonna show you something else really quick. And that, cause it kind of goes to that point if you don't care. So I have this listing. It's a trailer house. This lot's super tiny. It's like 4,000 square feet. What happened is I had somebody who wanted me to list their lot for sale. When I started doing research, I found that a lot of these streets do not have the water line. So I'm like, how can that be possible? It's like in the city, it's developing. Well, back in 1952, they did not make you do easements. So you have to really do some homework and look to make the plat, because this person might have water, but these people can't get water unless these people give them an easement to their lot. So in doing that, I found this street over here, and this is just an example.
Reshare your screen so we can see the street.
Oh my gosh.
That's okay.
I am. I thought I did this one.
I can see the MLS page.
I'm sorry, y'all. Thank you.
Perfect.
Okay. Okay. And so it was it's kind of a junky area. So went to this owner here, and we offered him like $10,000 for their lot, because I'm looking for tiny house lots, right? Because I know I can make money on that, because you can't find lots for less than $30,000. And I knew the water line was right here, and I saw a water line right here. So I went to the water company, and they wouldn't give me a picture of their map. I had to go to their company, and I got to take a picture of their water line map off the wall. So that helped me know where to target, where I could get water more quickly. And so anyway, to make a long story short, we offered to buy this for $10,000. We settled for $15,000. We cleaned it up, put the water tap in, which was like $1,200, and then flipped it for $35,000. So then after other realtors saw what I was doing, they said, well, I've got $15,000. If you can do that, I'll split the money with you. So I start calling every landowner, you know, and you just click on it and you see who owns that. You know, and then I used whitepages.com, and I go and call them and I say, would you be interested in selling your lot? I just talked to this person. They're going to sell me their lot for 20,000 because now they see I'm selling them for 30, 35. But I already have a buyer at 25,000 on this lot. So I tell them I'm a realtor right out the gate, but I still make 5,000 instead of 1,500 on that lot. You see what I mean? So you just kind of, I'm bringing you the lot. So not just as a realtor, I'm bringing you the lot as a middleman kind of person, because they'll sell it to me for 20,000. I'll sell it to you for 25,000. So there's that one. I know we're, I can't share my screen no more.
You should be able to.
Okay, let's go real quick back to Land Glide. I wanted to show you my Land Glide again,
It
and
does
then
it
we'll stop.
money, Vanguard?
So it is, I think I pay $9 a month for Land Glide, but it's an app for your phone. It's something you can use at home, and real quick, I'll show you, like, you can touch other people's properties. If you look over to, can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. It shows, if you had just highlight over it lightly, it says who owns it. And so if somebody has multiple parcels, like the same owner, like this man I already know owns several parcels. So you can just touch them and it says who owns it. So you don't miss a parcel. You want to, so this is somebody else's, but I can tell this person owns all this land, right? Then you can get to working on it. So you find your property, sorry about that. And you say, oh, I only have this much road frontage. How can I make my lots? You know, and you can use this, and I know we're running out of time, but you can use this tool. Like you pick your lot. Oh, and you can draw a straight line and it'll say like how far across it is. So I can measure my road frontage right here. So I have like 360 foot of road frontage. Well, that tells me I can only get one driveway in with their new rule. So then I have to see, how am I going to do my lots, right? Because I don't have a lot of room. So I'm going to make my driveway down here. And if we work together or you need some help, I can teach you how to do this. And this is just for fun, right? We're just learning. But you double click it and it says, this is 2.76 acres, right? So you can kind of plan out your land and how you can get by with your road and plan your utilities. There's kind of a lot to it. And I know our time went by really fast. I want to show you my my pages of plats real fast before we go and show you how to change them.
I want to leave like 5 or 10 minutes for people to ask you questions.
Okay. Okay, I'm gonna do one more thing. I'm on my last show real fast. Hope y'all didn't think I spent too much time on that one thing.
Oh, it's like a whole different category. Like you're like, oh, commercial's overwhelming. And then you learn,
Yeah.
land, you're like, oh my gosh.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, this was 3 acres. This person owned 3 acres. They wanted to keep their house in the middle. I measured it out. This is called a flag lot. See, you got your driveway here and it goes to the back. And the city didn't want me to have the flag lot, but they really can't keep me from it because there's no lot against it. But having this flag lot gave me 9 lots instead of 7. But all the neighbors came out and were mean to me. And so I agreed to do the 7 lots. So I changed it to 7 lots. And this is after I came in and I had to go in and see where I'm going to put my water meters, where I'm going to put my septics. I'm almost finished with this one, but this one really hurt me. It was in the city limits. It was really hard. The neighbors fought me. I've never had that before. Here's another skinny long property. This is called Cadence's Cottages. It's named after my granddaughter Cadence, which I'm super excited about. I only had 176 foot of road frontage. So I did long lots. I'm keeping this property. I have houses here and here. I have an Airbnb barn right here. I have houses here and here. I have a tree house back here. Behind all the trees, I have some RV spots and then another house right here. This is my 75-foot turnaround, but it was just a long, skinny piece. And it's going to be like a rental community. So I'm just saying you can use any kind of land this was 6 acres that was in 2 counties. So this part of the property, here's the dot line, Wise County and Parker County. So I had to go to 2 county meetings to get this to happen. And you see it like this, but it doesn't look like that when you go there and you look at this property. It's just absolutely beautiful. I got to name the street Francis Lane after my mom. I got to name the subdivision Jessica after my niece. But this was just 5 acres of land that cost $250,000 to my investor. And then I paid him back $68,000 per lot. So he made almost $100,000 just to front me the money for me to make it into lots. And then I made money by putting houses on them. Plus I wasn't out any money up front for my lots. So here's Kinsley Estates, also named after one of my granddaughters. It was shaped kind of odd, but I did a flag lot with this one 30-foot long line that went all the way to the back to make this lot in the back. So this person got 1.2 acres, so they still have an acre for their house, but they own their driveway. See what I mean? So there's all kinds of ways to make 5 or 6 acres into a subdivision and make more money on it. Okay, we could take some questions for a quick if you want, Amanda.
Awesome. Okay, I know there was information overload, but if anyone
I'm
has
sorry.
ahas or questions that they want to.
I have a question.
Perfect. Cesar.
Hey, Amanda and Suzanne, thank you so much. This is fantastic. Sorry, I have my McDonald's back here, having breakfast. This was fascinating. Thank you so much because I learned a lot. I actually have a 10-acre listing right now in Huntsville, Texas. That's Walker County. One of the challenges that we're running into that, for it's cleared, but it has a big utility easement that runs right through the middle of the lot with some power lines, and there's an underground a pipeline, gas pipeline. So have you had experience with that and being able to divvy it up and things like that?
Absolutely. Yes. And so you would go back to you would use Land Glide. You know the address of it real fast?
Yes, 72 Julia Justice, Huntsville, Texas.
There we go, right here.
Yeah.
So you could pull that up and then just takes you right over to it. And you can, like I said, you can have my number too, and we can check it out. But isn't that so cool?
I love that. Yeah. And so the utility easement, see that line that divides those 2 lots on the upper right-hand corner? The utility easement kind of goes right through and it slices it right through the middle, right there. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it's going like this, kind of the utility easement, but it's going all the way down.
Yeah, diagonal. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So the Texas Railroad Commission has a map of all the underground lines, the gas lines and easements. The railroad, they call it the Railroad Commission, but it's really they just have all the easements. So you have to usually be 60 foot. They usually want 60 foot. So you go 30 foot on each side. You could make a dirt road in here, like just not concrete, like a road-based road or something. But I would avoid that. Like I would find out where the line is, do the line like exactly right? Like, so if it goes diagonal across the whole property, then you focus on how you make your lots there. Like I would come in here with the lot. This is still open, right? Like that's an invisible line. So you could make a driveway going to the other lots. This is a great property. You have a lot of road frontage here. I know it's kind of hard to, measure all that. We could do that. It would take a lot of just some time.
I would love that. Yeah.
Absolutely. So this is a great property because you do have road frontage. And if he doesn't have water at the road, you could do 1 to 2
There's water on 2 ends of the street and there's power. So
that's great. Yeah, if it's co-op water.
Yeah, it's a local water company or whatever.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah, that's very doable. But see how you could take that one property and how much is he asking for it?
250,000. It's 10 acres. Yeah.
Okay. So $25,000 an acre of land in Huntsville. That's so good. And he's probably got it priced so well because of the easement. But you could help him make more money with that. And you're not a realtor in that. You are a realtor because you want to sell those lots.
Right.
But when you help him do land development and say you can make him make $200,000 more, do you want half of that? I'll give you $350,000 for your land if you'll let me do partial releases of lien and I make money in the middle for all my work, right? So you make $100,000 instead of $7,500 for your commission.
Okay.
It's very doable. Yeah, call me.
I will, absolutely. I'll get your number from Amanda, I guess. Yeah.
Okay, next. Oh, my number is 832
Okay.
247
Uh-huh.
4374. And it's
Wonderful.
better to text me. Okay, Amanda, I guess you're recording that, so lots of people are gonna have that, huh?
Okay, I'm doing a group text. Diane has her hand raised.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, can you hear me? Because I was having
Yes.
trouble with my microphone. Okay, great. No, I love this, Suzanne. I did the horizontal and vertical construction on 23 acres. So like
Good.
this is just really exciting to me. But
It's
I
so
just wanted to
exciting.
ask you, a lot of these, do they have the ag exemption? Do you have to deal with rollback
That
taxes?
is such a great point. So what Diane's talking about is ag exemption, right? So if you have this 20 acres is not in ag, but if it was in ag, and you do find that often, the buyer is responsible for the rollback taxes, is how you want to write it in your contract. But if you're the buyer, you're going to be responsible for the rollback taxes if you're going to subdivide it, because you've changed the use of the land, and the rollback taxes is 5 years. So what you can do is, before you commit and buy a property, you can go to the county and ask them what your rollback taxes approximately are going to be. So you can calculate that in, because they might put a value on what they have the land valued at now, not what your value is. It depends. So that's a very good point. Thank you for
So
bringing that up.
have you ever negotiated that though? Like in these that you're doing, have you ever negotiated that with
Yeah,
the
it depends
seller?
on who I represent. So if I represent the seller, I want the buyer to pay it. If I represent the buyer, I want the seller to give me some kind of credit for that. But they're going to say it's not my problem that you're changing the use. But you could negotiate some monies off that really pays for your rollback taxes, depending on how big of a property it is, because it could be a huge amount for rollback taxes. Oh, and if you have a huge property that's like 100 acres, you can make that into 10-acre lots. You can keep the ag exemption. You have 1 acre for your house and 9 acres for the land, have you, or make it 11 acres. So there's always 10 acres, because there's a minimum amount of acreage for like hay or beehives or fruit trees, things like that. Some are 5 acres, 3 acres, but you can kind of keep that ag exemption if you have a large piece of land. And if you have like 10-acre pieces, you don't even have to put in a road. You can put in a private road, if you will, driveway for everybody to get to their lots. So 10 acres is a good number. You can put in your own septics. You don't have to follow a lot of the different rules, but you have to have a pretty big piece of property to do 10-acre spots.
Do you run into the canopy ordinance too?
I haven't heard of that, so I'm open to learning about the canopy ordinance.
It's where you actually have an appraiser coming out and appraise the trees, but to tell you that certain ones have to stay if they're over a certain diameter or a certain species.
I haven't had that
That's
ever.
I ran into that as a problem too, because then, right, our density changed because there were certain lots where we couldn't take down the trees.
Yeah, those are premium lots. You know how long it takes to grow a tree, but you can make them beautiful. You know what I mean? But I understand what you're saying. Yeah, you just have to weigh it out to see if it's worth it. But I have not ran into that yet.
Do you see any other questions?
Hey, Suzanne, it's Jamie.
Hi.
Hey, I have you on multiple screens, so it's like I'm looking the wrong direction.
Okay.
So when you're working with the city, Amanda had mentioned my previous experience in land development was specifically as it pertained to stormwater management. When you're replatting these lots, is the city telling you, hey, or the county, did you have a maximum impervious cover on these areas? So your driveway plus the foundation of the house plus any other concrete surfaces, does that max out?
Yeah, so that comes in where I had to get an engineer. That's why the city is really hard to work with. Let me show you my and I'll just hurry here on this one. Yes, you have to have an engineer, as you know, do a drainage study, and that involves all about what you're talking about with how the water is going to flow. Let me see how I can share the screen. So I did a let's see. I had Oh, well, on my utility
Basically,
study,
I'm
sorry.
sorry, they'd be telling you like the maximum amount of concrete you can have, how many culverts you're gonna need, the diameter of those culverts, etc.
Yeah, so the city will tell me, and the county too, what size culvert I'm gonna have to have, depending, most of the time it depends on the size of the culvert, if you know, because where I'm working there in the city, it's not so deep, but I have worked on the highway where I've had to have huge culverts. So they tell me the diameter, and I tell them how wide I want it. It has to be a minimum 15 foot. But sometimes they'll tell me if it needs to be bigger. I can make it bigger, but it has to be a minimum 15, foot. So yes, I don't know if that answered your question, but working in the city limits is a lot more expensive. The engineer, I even went to studying about taking classes to become my own civil engineer. It's hard to find a civil engineer because they're working on huge projects. It's huge money. Just for those 2 acres, it's $22,000 just for my engineer. And that has been the worst part for me working in the city is the drainage study, the utility layout, all of those. I really don't like working in the city. Personally, I'll never do one in the city again if I can keep from it. You do make a lot more money. It takes a lot more time, and it's very stressful. So I would like to minimize my stress.
Yeah. So in other words, you're saying if possible, avoid the city and stay in the county.
For me, absolutely.
Okay. Thank
Does,
you.
does anybody else have any questions? I saw Amanda's going to hop off, so I don't know. I can't tell if you have a question. Just say that you have a question because there's a lot of people on here, so I can't see everybody. Okay, so if anybody's not busy and you want to stay on, you're welcome to. I don't know if they have another meeting coming, or we could just do this, another time. But you also want to check the like the water table. You can go online and look at the water table, because like in Weatherford, I can dig a water well for like $6,500, but I can go 30 miles and it costs me $30,000 because it's so far to get to a water table. And so you have to, for me, when I'm looking for land, what's important to me is water and road frontage. I want to know that I can get water and I have road frontage to get to a property. And let's see. I mean, I could just go on for days about things that are needed: water wells, septic systems, different sizes of lots, how to find the lots. Oh, and also there's Texas Files and Texas Files it's Texas File. Let me see. Let me see if I can share this if y'all want. Y'all can leave anytime, of course. Let's see. I just want to show you this right quick because a lot of times people are looking for like subdivision restrictions or minerals. Texas File, it's texasfile.com, is great for that. Like I'll just use, for instance, it has every county in the whole state. So I'm going to go to Tarrant County because I'm about to do a house. And what's really important is a lot of people want to know if you can do Airbnb. And so you put in the subdivision name, and when you do a subdivision plat or deed restrictions, you're the grantor. The subdivision is the grantor. And so I can look up in Tarrant County and I see the Snug Harbor Development. These are deeds. You go back to the very beginning of when they did the subdivision, and you can usually see, you can look at something for $2 or you pay $1 a page for the document. So this is a release of the lien. This was a deed. This isn't what I'm looking for. But if you think of any county and you want to learn about their deed restrictions, or does somebody still have the minerals? You used to I'm a landman as well, and a landman works for oil and gas companies or a company, and they go and search who owns the minerals so they can go lease those minerals to do drilling. And you used to have to go to the county clerk's office and look up all these files. But now they're available at texasfile.com. Title companies use this all the time. If you're going to buy property from people and it's owner financed, you can see the deeds. Like, let me go back to Parker County because I do a lot in Parker County. But you can see the deeds. You can see, is there a lien on the deeds? We'll do oh, I've spelled it wrong. Sorry. It's more, it's harder being on a Zoom. I can teach people one-on-one all the time, but when you're on a Zoom, there's a lot of people you're nervous about, messing up. Can you see my screen?
She was so nervous, y'all, for like a whole week. She was like, I don't know. I'm so nervous. I don't want to mess up. I think she did great.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. So this is one that she financed her lots to me. So you have them deed it to you, and then you do a release of lien or a partial release of lien when it's paid off. But say you're buying somebody's lot and they have a deed, you go in and you look at that deed. And if it just says regular warranty deed, general warranty deed, then there's not a lien on it. But if you see warranty deed with vendor's lien, there's a lien on it, right? So you want to go back and find that. And the name of, when you put a lien on a deed, what is it called? Anybody know? It's a deed of trust. You probably learned about that in real estate school. So, you can go back and you can look at the deed of trust. And then if they have a deed of trust, you can see how much they owe on the property. We can look at this one. So here's the deed of trust. The principal amount was $24,000. So that's what we owe on it. And then after it's paid for, you look for a release. So if you find a property that has a deed with a lien, you go up through the history and you look for the release of lien. If you don't see a release of lien, then you need to get one. If they go, well, I paid that off, well, let me help you get a release, and Cindy needs to sign the release, and then you go file the release of lien, and then everybody can clearly see there's no longer a release. I don't know if you've gone to sell a property and they say, oh, there's a lien on it. There's a way you yourself can go look for liens on properties that you're interested in buying, or your investor's interested in buying, and it's not listed. If you want to go back and check on it and make sure that there's no liens on it, even though it could be a lien that's not filed, but most people that are going to put a lien on something are going to file it, and you're going to be able to find it. I know that's like something different.
Well, it's kind of juicy to know if you're making a lower offer on a house that's been on the market for a while. You can see kind of what you think that they might owe on it.
Yes, you can go back and see what they borrowed on it. Can't necessarily see what they gave for it. Back in the day, you could just put Z for how much they gave for it, and it would be 0. And now every county makes you put what you sold it for, but used to, you didn't have to do that. So if they bought it years ago, you won't be able to tell what they gave for it, but you can go on their lien and see they gave $18 an acre for it back in, 1930. Or what have you. You can look up all the old liens because they've scanned them into the new databases at the county clerk's office, which is now available online at Texas File. So, y'all have any more questions? I know there's really so much. There's mechanics liens, construction liens, promissory notes. There's just so much. So I'm happy to do a different one or extend another time, or y'all can ask me stuff anytime. Everybody who's ever worked with me knows I always help everybody.
This was amazing, like information overload, but such a next level. You think you're a realtor and you've kind of figured out real estate, and then there's this whole other world that we haven't even touched. So thank you so much for sharing all your secrets. I know it's taken you over a decade to accumulate them.
Yes. And I tell people when I'm working with them, because they'll say, oh, you can make me more money right out of the gate. I can make you more money, but I'm not just a regular realtor. I'm not here just to list and sell your property. I'm here to work with you so we both make good money. You get what you want, plus so much more. This man just reached out to me. He got a great deal on some property that I missed. And it was $450,000 for 30 great acres. I started digging on it. And he said, I heard you could subdivide this land for me. How much would you charge me to do it? So I looked it up. I said, I can make you $400,000 profit on your 450,000, and I want 25%. So it sounds better to say I want 25% of the profit I'm going to make you than to say I want $100,000. But I want $100,000. I'm going to make him $300,000 profit on his deal, and he doesn't have to do anything. So I'm worth 25%. So you have to change your mindset and be strong about that because you're worth it. You know what I mean? Yeah. I'm not a regular realtor anymore, and you don't have to be either. I still do real estate, and I'm so thankful for my 2,000, 5,000, 7,000, whatever comes into my bank when I need it the most, but in the middle, I want to make good money.
So exciting. It's a big world. Well, we have this recorded. You have her cell phone, her email address. She's willing to take on projects with you and mentor you along the way. It's full of invaluable information that we're really thankful that you shared. So thank you for your time, Susie, and I hope you'll have a great week.
Thank y'all. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.